out in internet land? Adam Shea from Primetime Guitar here. Today we're going to be looking at the blues scale, more specifically 5 patterns of it. If you caught one of our last episodes where we did the 5 shapes of the minor pentatonic scale, this is going to be very, very similar to that. We're basically just adding another note per octave, so the shapes should be relatively the same and you should kind of, understand them and have them under your fingers. That being said, let's hop right into the scales though. So for our first shape today, it's going to be the pattern 3 blues scale. If we're basing it off of the pentatonic shape that correlates with pattern 3, we're going to start, this is all in A minor again, might I add. We're going to start on the 5th fret, and it's going to go like this. Now for the blues scale, it's going to be kind of the same thing, a little bit different fingering to help us out with those extra notes. But what we're going to do is 3rd finger on the 5th fret, the A, on the low E string. So it's going to be 5, 3, 5, 6 on the A string, 2, 5 on the D and G strings, 3, 4, 5 on the B string, and then 3, 5 on the high E. Back down the scale, and there's one more note, the 3rd fret on the low E. Perfect, on to the next example. This next pattern you may or may not know already. It is the old true and tested rock box pattern. So the pentatonic shape that we associate this with, pattern 4, is going to be so the blues version of that is going to be 5, 8 on the low E, 5, 6, 7 on the A, 5, 7 on the D, 5, 7, 8 on the G string, and 5, 8 on the B and E strings. Back down the scale. Perfect. On to pattern 5. Next up, we've got pattern 5. That's going to be starting on the 7th fret of the D string, going over our pentatonic shape really quickly. So adding in our blues note, it's going to be 7, 10 on the 7th fret of, 7th fret of the D string, followed by 7, 8, 9 on the G string, 8, 10 on the B string, and then 8, 10, 11 on the high E. Back down. So this pattern is going to have, I'm going to show 2 different ways to play the remaining strings. Just because they're both a little funky and you might prefer one more than the other, but they're both the same amount of notes and everything like that. So it might just be a preference thing to you. Knowing both is definitely good as well, but I'll let you decide from here. If we're starting on our root, the 7th fret of the D string, it's going to be 10, 7 on the A string. The first pattern I'm going to show you, or way to do it, is going to be slide down to the 6, and then 10, 8 on the E string. And back up, 10, 6, slide to the 7, 10, and then 7 on the D string. The second way, starting on the root, 7, 10, 7, and then it's going to be 11, 10, 8 on the low E string. Back up the scale. Cool, so play around with those, figure out if you like one more than the other. Just whatever works for you, whatever makes it easier and more recognizable, then that'll be good. On to the next one. So this is going to be scale pattern number 1 for the blues scale. It's going to start on the 12th fret of the A string with our 3rd finger, followed by 10, 12, 13 on the D string, followed by 9, 12 on the G, followed by 10, 13 on the B, followed by 10, 11, 12 on the high E string. So coming back down from that. After we land on our root note again, it's going to be the 10th fret on the A string, and then 12, 11, 10 on the low E string, just like the high E string. Back up. Perfect. One more left to go. Lastly, we're going to be looking at scale pattern number 2 for the blues scale. This one's going to start in the same spot as the last one, just we're going to start with our first finger on the 12th fret. So it's going to be 12, 15 on the A string, 12, 13, 14 on the D string, 12, 14 on the G string, 13, 15, 16 on the B, and then 12, 15 on the high E. Going back down. And lastly, there's 2 more notes on the low E string. It's going to be 15 and 12. Going back up. Perfect. So that should about do it for the actual scale patterns today. Perfect. We have made it through again. Thank you for watching this video. As I mentioned earlier, hopefully it was really close and easy to understand, as we did go over the minor pentatonic scales in an earlier lesson. And this is kind of just adding one more note, although some of the positions get a little funky and fingers stretching, you know, stuff like that. But essentially, we just added one note, but we have so much more color by doing that. As with all the videos in this series, there's going to be a lick video that'll come out next week. So that'll be cool, as you hear blues licks all over. So we're going to do some that you hear, some that you might not hear so much, but it should be fun and stuff that your ears like, oh yeah, I know that. That's awesome. So hopefully you'll enjoy it. Per usual, make sure you subscribe to us on YouTube, find us on Facebook, Twitter, Patreon, everything social media wise. We're putting stuff out most days of the week, 5 I believe, sometimes even some extra stuff on the weekends. So you can stay up to date with us if you would like. We'd appreciate it. Let us know how we're doing. Tell us what you want to see next, anything. We're here to help you guys out. That being said, thanks for watching.